someone else do it, right? Same with like, I don't cut my own grass. Someone comes and cuts the grass for me. That's leverage, right? And that's the best example that I like to give on leverage and when it makes sense, because it doesn't necessarily have to be like a full-time administrative assistant or something like that. It can be little things like cutting the grass. So it costs me $15 to have the kid across the street cut my grass. Takes them about an hour to do the front and back edge and blow it all, clean it up, right? The key to understanding whether or not to hire is knowing what your value is and what your dollar per hour is worth. Okay. So for me, if let's just say I get paid $100 an hour for what I do, does it make sense for me to cut my own grass if I get paid $100 an hour, as long as in that hour I'm using that time for something business building? Right? Probably not a good use of my time. It doesn't make sense for me to go home and cut the grass when I could pay someone $15 an hour if in that same hour I can make $100, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's like a people leverage. Okay. So let's talk systems and tools now, because what we're gonna talk about how systems and tools can leverage up your business, and then we're gonna jump into to the people part as well, and how that can make you more money by paying someone to do something else that'll make you more money. And I'm gonna draw it out for you. It's gonna really make you think differently about leverage. But let's talk systems and tools first. So and let's talk specifically your businesses. Okay. With your businesses, where is your number one source of income or business coming from typically?
Our databases.
Yep, your databases, your sphere of influence, right? And how many times a year should you be reaching out to the people in your sphere of influence?
I think isn't it 36 touches or something like that?
You got it, Tammy. 36 or more touches a year. So we should be reaching out through different ways, phone, text, email, regular mail, events, whatever it is. We should be reaching out to them 36 or more times a year. So if we're doing that in your database, let's say you have 500 people in your database, reaching out to them 36 or more times can be a little daunting if you're doing that all yourself. So now you got to hire and leverage through systems and tools to make that happen. Now, some of the systems and tools you guys already have access to, like the command system. Command allows you to leverage technology to keep in touch with more people. It also allows you to leverage technology to keep in touch and follow up with leads. And a lot of that's automatically done. So that's part of that leverage system that we're talking about through systems and tools that a lot of people aren't even utilizing, or they're underutilizing it. Right. So one of the questions that I ask agents is, how many people are you reaching out to in a systematic way every single month? And they typically say, I don't know, about, and then they just make up whatever number. Right. But if you know that number, then you can estimate your business a lot more. And we're not expecting you to reach out to every single person manually. Leverage the system, leverage the email system, the text system, leverage those systems and those tools so you can get in front of more people. What other technology are you guys currently using? I want you to think right now in your business, what technology are you using as leverage in your business?
Social media. Social media.
Social media, great one. Yeah, that's really good. You can reach hundreds of people, thousands of people.
Texting.
Okay. Texting, absolutely. Text messaging is a great form of leverage, right? What about the MLS? Is that leverage?
Depends how you use it.
You're not manually going and looking at homes, right? And then writing up a report and sending it to your client. You're leveraging the MLS to do that for you, right?
That's true, yeah. The automatic emails.
Clients on an automatic alert system, 100%.
Right.
Leverage that system so that way you don't have to be in front of it. This is how we start to scale our businesses, but we can't scale it unless we're leveraging all of these other items. So here's what happens when the agents come in. They say, I'm too busy. I need to hire someone. And I'll say, okay, great. before we hire someone and spend the money on that, number one, we want to make sure that your budgets are up to date. Number two is we're going to do a time analysis on what on your daily schedule. And the way that looks like, so if you're in a position where you think, gosh, I really need to hire someone to do this for me, then what you're going to do is you're going to grab a notebook and you're going to carry that notebook around with you everywhere you go. And you're going to set an alarm on your phone for every 30 minutes. And when that 30 minutes goes off, you're going to write down the time and what you're doing, exactly what you're doing. And there's no judgment around it. You're going to do that for 2 weeks. And so when the agents come in and they say, I need to hire an admin, I say, great, let's do this. And I said, when do you start your day? And they tell me, and we write it down. I say, when do you typically end your day? And they tell me, and I write it down. I say, great, every 30 minutes between that time and this time, set an alarm. You're going to write down what it is. And in 2 weeks, you're going to come back and we're going to analyze it. And we're going to see if you actually do need to hire in leverage, or you need to utilize technology more, or you need to manage your own time better. What typically happens when they come back that first time is we figure out that they're wasting a lot of time. So we restructure their day, and then they go back out and do it again for 2 weeks. Then they come back and they're still wasting a lot of time. And this happens 3 or 4 cycles. And then they come in and they're like, okay, cool. I actually don't need anybody right now, but then that's when we go into what is the other technology we can use? What other systems and models can we tap into? Right. So then we go in, we tap into those systems and models, whatever they look like, typically through technology is a big one. The other thing that we tap into is the models out of the MREA. So what I would say is let's leverage, right, the MREA model of the economic model and lead gen model to make sure you guys are capitalizing on your business, right? So Michelle, I don't know if we did that in our last one-on-one or not, but I'm trying to remember, but
No, but I had it with me.
okay, so here's the thing. If you're not getting what you want out of your business, then we need to leverage a model to tell us what that is. So then with an economic model of MREA, we start at the top of how much you want to make, and we get that down to the number of appointments you need to go on. That is a form of leverage through a model. That makes sense? If you don't know what that economic model is, we can set up a time outside of this meeting to go over it. All right. So
You're referring to this, right? All right.
that's showing me
Wrong camera, but this,
yes, that's it.
okay.
So what I want to do is so those systems and models, that system and models leverage. So if you're leveraging technology, you're leveraging systems, you're leveraging the models of MREA, you're getting what you can out of your business. Gary Keller says in MREA on page 159, he says, when doing all you can do, hire administrative help. Here's what I want you guys, if you don't take anything else away from today, here's what I want you to take away from this is most agents, when they're ready to hire people leverage, they immediately go to an agent to join onto their team. So a couple things. One, when you're thinking you need to do this, I want you to ask yourself this. And number two, if someone ever asks you to join their team, what I want you to do is ask them, do you have an admin? Do you have admin help built in to your business already? Because here's what happens, and I did this before, so I'm guilty of it. You hire an agent on the team to help take some of the leads or the business over, okay? And that agent's out there doing the work and writing offers and pulling disclosures and attending inspections and navigating the transaction. And at some point they say, I don't need you to do this, because they don't have any time left now. So your first hire should always be an admin. You are the reason that people are coming. You are the buyers are working with you, the sellers are working with you. You should stay working with them. Those are the high dollar producing activities, right? And how much do you think an admin of a real estate team gets paid on average?
I remember you saying something about the other day, like, is it part of the cost of sales?
No, it's definitely an expense.
Okay.
Definitely an expense. But what do you think if you were to hire an administrative assistant to work for you per hour.
I'm not, I'm assuming it's kind of like the cost per hour,
What's that?
like $1 per hour, like it's a per hour cost.
What is that cost is my question.
15
That
an
I
hour.
don't know.
What'd you say?
That I
15?
don't know.
Mohammed, what did you say?
I said, 15, 1-5.
15. Okay, yeah, it's 15 to 20 bucks an hour. Okay. So again, let's go back to if I'm running my business and I've leveraged tools and systems, I've leveraged technology out, I'm doing everything I can, and when I'm doing all I can do, now I need to hire admin help. So now I'm going to hire an admin. Okay. And what I do instead of hiring that admin, I hire an agent. An agent is a high dollar producing working a lot. I need to take off the low dollar an hour jobs off my plate, the transaction coordinating, that type of stuff, right? The marketing stuff. I need to get that off my plate. So I'm going to hire someone to do that. And I'm going to pay them 15 to 20 bucks an hour to do that. And then what that's doing, and remember, we're going to go back to your time analysis. And what that's going to do is it's taking off the time that you would normally be spending on that and allows you to put it back into your business. Now you're able to take on more buyers and more sellers. Because once you get a buyer under contract, you take that paperwork, you just pass it over to your admin and they handle it. Now you're just servicing more clients. While they're doing the $15 to $20 an hour work, you're doing the $300 to $400 an hour work. The next hire you make is another admin. Because as you're doing this, that admin's doing marketing and transaction coordinating. And now you need to hire someone to do the marketing because they're doing the transaction coordinating. So you hire 2 people. And now you're focused even more on sales. At this point, you can either hire more admin help through like a showing agent or something, or that's when you bring on an agent. It's typically your 3rd or 4th hire as an agent and through leverage. Okay. And I'm going to map out the dollars and cents for you. Let me share my screen on how this works. Cable. So let's see if this is going to go. Give me 1 second here. Are you guys seeing my iPad or no?
No, not yet.
Hang on. Of course, when I need this to work, it never does. So hang on. Let me grab my pad. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, so how many hours do you typically spend on a real estate transaction? Take a guess. From start to finish, the minute you generate the lead to the minute it closes.
Like 3 months, maybe
3 months?
3 to
Okay,
4 months,
How many hours?
as far as hours.
Just, I'll tell you what the right answer is, but just what do you think?
I'm guessing 20-ish.
20
I mean, like active hours or
Yeah.
like
So here's what I was thinking. Between admin work, like transaction coordinating, marketing time, and client time, what do you think? What do you think it is?
I'm gonna say about 30 hours.
30 hours. Okay, it's 20 and 30. Okay, so a
Somewhere around there.
buyer side transaction listing side transaction from the minute you generate the lead to the minute that you close it is typically around 20 to 25 hours for a listing. In this market, it's a lot less, but we're going to go with averages, okay? Give me
It's right on my first guess. That's funny.
Side transaction is closer to 50 hours, 50. So keep that in mind as we go through this math. This board needs to get replaced. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to make, I'm going to make all of you more dollars per hour right now. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. All right. Can everyone see?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, cool. Let me change my view to me. There we go. Okay, perfect. So this is the timeline. This will be the timeline of a transaction. So we're going to break this down into 3 spots. Here we've got our transaction coordinating. So this is all the paperwork, all that stuff. And that we're using a 50 hours total. So we'll say 20 hours of this is transaction coordinating. And then we've got marketing. Right, and remember, just keep this in mind. This is your business. So marketing is going to be another 20 hours per client. These are client hours, and then your actual front facing, I call it, your client facing hours. It's about 10 hours per transaction. So if you take what we're doing is we're taking your transactions and we're breaking them down into how many hours of our actual job goes into each client. 20 hours transaction coordinating, 20 hours marketing, 10 hours of client facing interaction. Okay. Is there anybody that wants to disagree with this timeline? If so, I'm open to it. We can talk about it. Okay, perfect.
I think some agents might fall heavier, or I think agents that aren't raising the bar are probably not putting in the time to their marketing, but we at Keller Williams, we don't have those type of agents. But some people just don't market their properties like they should, right?
Well, right, and that's why you could argue and say you're only actually putting in 30 hours or 10 hours or whatever it is. You can break these numbers down for the sake of today. This
But
is
for
what
averages, that's a good number.
Here's the other thing. I'm also talking top producing agents. So if you're a top producing agent now, if you're not, you could say I only have 5 hours here, 5 hours here, and 10 hours here. You can fill in your own timelines. We're going to use this, but it'll break down. It'll be the same when you do the math, about the same. So if we're using 50 hours, each transaction's worth 50 hours. And what's an average price point?
200, 250.
Yeah, let's use 200, nice and easy. So $200,000 is the average price point. So on that commission, you're making $6,000 on per transaction. Okay, so I'm going to take 6,000, and I'm going to divide that by 50 hours. What do I get? What is that number? Who can do that for me?
120.
20. So on this transaction, so if you guys are putting in these hours per transaction, once you get paid, you're making $120 for that transaction. We agree on that? All right, so now you're busy. You got to hire someone. We've done all our analysis. We've leveraged out our technology, our systems and tools. We're doing great. Time to hire a person. What of these 3 things, transaction management, marketing, or client facing, are we going to be getting rid of first? What's the first thing we want to leverage out to a person?
Transaction coordinator.
I agree. So we got to pull these 20 hours down and hire to that. So we're going to hire a transaction coordinator. They're going to work 20 hours, and we're going to get a good one. So we're going to pay that person $20 an hour. Okay. So 20 hours times $20 an hour, that's $400. So on this transaction, we're now going to pay $400 to our transaction coordinator to get us to closing. I'm going to take the same transaction of $6,000. And now what I'm going to do is I got to minus this out. So I'm minusing out $400 that I'm paying to the transaction coordinator for the time that they're putting in. So now I'm earning $5,600 on this transaction. Now I'm going to divide that, not by 50, but I just dropped 20 hours. I'm dividing that by 30. What's 5,600 divided by 30?
It rounds up to 187.
187. So I just went from making $120 an hour to making $187 an hour. Here's the beautiful part of this. I also got 20 hours back in my life here. So now what do you do with that 20 hours?
Delegate it to marketing.
Reinvested into more clients.
Who's doing the lead generation in all of this?
We would be doing that.
You would be doing it. So now here's the thing, and we talk about life by design, right? I got 20 hours back in my world. I can take 10 of those and put it back into lead gen, and take the other 10 and put it back into me. Do whatever I want. This is where I'm going mountain biking, Tammy, right? This is where I'm teaching more fitness classes, Michelle, because it's important to me. This is where I'm
Mountain biking can be part lead gen if you go with a group. So sometimes it is business oriented.
more time back, right? This is, you add these hours up, all of a sudden that's a 10-day trip to Brazil. Not bad. Let's go one step further. Okay. So you're rolling now. You're doing really well. And you got to get these marketing hours off your plate, because you're spending your days meeting with clients and your evenings meeting with or doing your marketing for your business. So you tell this admin, you say, hey, admin, you're only working 20 hours. I want to add 20 more hours to you and bring you on more of a full-time person. Are you open to that? And they say, yeah. Say, okay. So now we're going to bring this 20 hours we're spending in marketing, and we're going to add that to this admin. So now instead of paying them $400 per transaction, because I'm going to double that, I'm going to be paying them $800 per transaction. So let's go back to our scenario here. Same situation. I make $6,000 on this commission, right? Now I'm going to minus off 800 bucks. What's 6,000 minus 800?
5,200.
What'd you say?
5,200.
5,200. Now I'm working 10 hours with my clients per transaction. Remember, this is per transaction. So divide that by 10.
520.
$520 per hour. I just took my, you guys see that? I just took my business to 520. Now I'm earning $520 an hour. So I was earning 187. Now I'm earning 520. I've got 40 hours per transaction. Remember, this is just per transaction. So multiply that times how many transactions you're doing, and that's the actual hours you're going to be getting back per year. But if you took this and put 20 into lead gen and the other 20 into yourself, I would guess that you would grow that much more, because now you got some more time to yourself. At $520 an hour, you're not cutting your own grass either. Right? You're not, there's a lot of things you're not doing if you understand what this number is, because you're going to leverage that stuff out. If it's not bringing you in $520 an hour, you should be giving it off to someone else to do, because you earn 520. Now you got to find someone who earns the $20 an hour to do it. Here's the beautiful thing with this, is that when you find these people to do this work, they're real good at it, and you need to pay them all of this so you can keep earning this. Right? So they might even be earning more, because the more you earn, the more they earn. This is where through leverage, we start off at a lower dollar per hour maybe, and give them incentives such as bonuses based on closings. Help them get their dollar per hour up to this. And then when you, and here, let me even do this for you. Because the other thing with all of this is as you start hiring, you're building an organizational chart. Okay, so here's how you do this. Right now it's you. Right? You do everything. You do the marketing, you do the clients, you're doing the admin work, you're mopping the floors, you're doing everything. So your first hire is an admin. Typically, and this is on page 161, it starts talking about this in the MREA. Typically, this first hire that you make is going to be like your director of sales, or I'm sorry, director of operations at some point. So you hire a rock star admin here, and then you get your other admin going over here. Right? And then you hire an agent. Now, the model says that this should be like a buyer's agent, because going back to our plan, if we did that same timeline with the 50 hours and we did it to a listing, it'd be 20 hours, right? So we want to spend your time on the higher dollar producing activities. Your listings bring that money in at a higher rate,
Right.
especially now it's
Right.
taking, right? So you would hire an agent here, buyer's agent typically. The buyer's agent, your next hire after this is typically another agent. So this buyer's agent then becomes a lead agent. And you hire an agent underneath. And you incentivize this person based on this person's production. And then your next hire after that, you bring in another admin. And what happens is this admin here moves over to here. Here's your new hire. And this becomes your lead admin or your director of ops. Oops, director of ops. Now you're building out the infrastructure for a big business, because now what you do is once you've got this, and this is typically buyer side stuff, over here, you hire on now a listing agent. This is typically when you're doing so much that you can't take any more listing appointments. You're on listing appointments every day. So now you hire a listing agent, and then this listing agent will eventually become a lead agent when they hire someone or an assistant. Listing agent. And you keep building this out, admin. Maybe now you get on the buyer side or the listing side, an ISA, inside sales associate, who can make calls. And then this person might hire an ISA, so you got a couple of them running. This starts to branch out to the point where you, as the agent, through this leverage that you've built, get to then say, okay, what I need to do now is erase myself. You move up here. And here you have a director that runs everything. And typically that director that runs everything is this person, that first hire you made, just moves into this spot, brings this person up. Everyone moves up a branch. And now you're up here. And now what you do up here is you just run the team. You're no longer going on a listing appointment or a buyer's appointment unless necessary. You're supporting everybody. One person reports to you. And this is where you can then step out and work on something else. This is called 7th level. You only get to 7th level through leverage. There's no 7th level agents who don't have leverage built into their business in any way, shape, or form. Now, I'll say this, with all of this, this is a big vision, and I love it if you want to do this. This is not typical. It doesn't mean you can't get there smaller. So I'm going to draw my org chart for my business, and I'm going to explain to you how I run it. Now, before I do this, I want to explain to you guys, I made 4 or 5 hires for an admin before I hired the one that I have now. The key to hiring leverage is to actually hire them and then let them do their work. I'm the type of person who used to say, I have to do it. The client wants to work with me. They're not going to want to work with someone else. It's going to take me longer to train an admin than to just do it myself. I'll just do it myself. And the people that I hired, I treated that way. And they got to a point where they're like, I'm not doing anything. This is dumb. I don't want to work here. Or I said, you're not working out for me, and I let them go. So if you're going to hire on leverage, you got to understand a couple things. Number one, what are they going to do? So what, just along with that like time analysis that I was telling you about, the other thing that we'll do is create checklists, create systems. What you need to do is, again, with that notepad, you're going to go through your day writing down everything you do. What is the process when a client calls you or reaches out to you or responds to an email or a text message or at an event or out mountain biking, whatever it is? When that lead comes in, what is your process? What do you do? What is each step? What check boxes do you need to hit in order to get them from lead to closing? That is going to be that process, that system that you have for your business, then becomes your like policies and procedures manual for your business. You got to understand. You have to understand that before you can hire on. Then when you hire on, you take that book and you give it to the person. And now they take over. So here's my org chart for my business. So I didn't learn that until late. I didn't learn that until actually I came to Keller Williams. And now the admin I have now, nobody tell her this, but if she left, I'd be out of business. So if she wanted a raise today, I'd give it to her. That's the part I don't want you to tell her. I'm kidding. She's very well paid. But here's how I started. So it was me doing everything. And then I hired an admin. This admin was responsible for, she does transaction coordination. Now, when I started, I just hired a transaction coordinator, just someone to get me from closing to, or from contract to close. That's all she did. She did such an awesome job. I said, hey, can we bring you on full time? I want to have you like doing everything. So she does transaction coordinating and she does marketing. Okay, so she kind of does it all now. So she's full-time admin for our team. So we ran like this for a couple years. And then I hired an agent. And I don't hire buyer's agents or listing agents. I just bring on agents. I don't care if they do listings and buyers. It does not bother me at all. So I hired on an agent. This is Tiffany. Tiffany started, she was brand new. Hired her in, got her up and going. She's doing great. She's awesome. Once we got to at this point, I was given the opportunity to be the coach for our office. As the coach for our office, I had to step back from a lot of business because I had to put that time into the agents and coaching. So what I did is, instead of doing a lot of marketing for like new leads, we just focused on sphere of influence, like all in on sphere of influence. Okay. So what that allowed me to do is cherry pick the clients I wanted to work with, and the ones I didn't want to work with would go to Tiffany. So I could then split my time between being the productivity coach and being an agent. In June of 2019, I got the opportunity to be the team leader for the office. Well, at that point, you're not allowed to, you can't sell. There's no time, there's no brain space for it, to be completely honest. So I had to make a decision. Do I go all in as team leader and only do that, or do I keep my business running? Well, there's no sense in building up what I had over, at the time, 16 years to let it go. So you've got it. So the deals that I'm doing, I got to leverage those out. So we hired another agent. And this is Gretchen. So now all of the deals that come through the sphere go to these guys. All the deals that come in through adding advertisement doing goes to these guys. I don't do any real estate transactions. I do consult some clients from time to time, but I'm not actually physically involved in the transactions. But by doing that, I couldn't stay in this bubble. Something had to change. So instead of moving up, I moved this way. And here, this admin, her name is Christina. She moved into this role. This role, the agents report to her instead of reporting to me. So this bubble got eliminated because she just handles it all here, but they report to her. It allowed me to step out over here, focus on being a team leader. I still run the team. They did $9 million last year. They hit the goals they wanted to hit. I just wasn't participating in any of that. But this doesn't happen. I can't do this over here and still make money off of this team. If I'm in this role, I have to leverage that out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about that leverage piece. And it's not just the leverage, it's having the right person. There's a class through Kate Keller Williams. It's called Career Visioning. If at any point you're planning on building something bigger than yourself, even if it's something small like this, and I'll tell you, my personal preference, I used to want to have the name on the building. I actually was a broker owner, for those of you that didn't know. That's what I wanted. I wanted a big production. And then I got into it, and I'm like, this is not what I want. In fact, what I want is something lean and mean. I want everyone on the team making money. I want loyalty. I don't want high turnover. Happy to say Tiffany has been with me since she got licensed. Gretchen's been with us for about a year. Christine has been with me for 4 years. Once I hired her, I didn't need anyone else. She hasn't quit. We haven't looked for anyone. It's been great. Like I said, they did about $9 million between the group of them last year. I didn't participate in any of those sales, but I do collect a split on everything that they do because I offer them, this is where I go going back to the beginning. I offer them a lot of support and value through the team, through Christina, through marketing. They don't pay for marketing. They don't pay for signs. They do farming. I pay for the farming. I pay for their supplies. Everything comes from the team side of it. I think this is the way to go. Lean and mean. Yeah. So I'm going to pause there. What questions do you guys have?
Well, I have Matt shared with us the other day. He had at one point hired admin, and he realized he wasn't really able to utilize her or give her enough hours. And so in the interim, he said, but I can't really do it all myself either. So he kind of, what do you call it? Like, he has somebody who does his marketing for him. Like, he hired a little marketing company, and he hired, and he uses legacy title services for the transactions. And I think that that's a good, especially I see a lot of us that are newbies on here, and I know that we might not be quite ready to get to the admin part, but it might be a good pedal jumper to kind of do what Matt's doing. Do you think that is a good opportunity?
That is the right direction. And what we typically see is, like I said earlier, is an agent will come to me and say, I think I need to hire someone. We do a time analysis, and we find it's not that they need to hire someone, they just need to manage their time better. So then once they're doing that and executing that, then we hire. And I typically suggest people start with that transaction coordinator. Couple reasons for that, okay? Number one is they're usually cheaper than hiring an admin because you're not paying per hour, you're paying per closing. The other thing is it becomes a cost of sale versus an expense. So I'm going to shift gears for just a quick minute so I can tie a bow on the question that you have, Tammy. And that's, in your business, there's three things that you got to shoot for that you're watching. It's expenses, cost of sale, profit. Okay. Expenses are everything that happens whether or not you close a sale. Okay. So admin support on a like an hourly or salary is an expense. Okay. Photographers are expenses. Okay. You got to pay to have that photo shoot done, whether the house sells or not, you're paying for it. Cost of sale is anything that happens after you've already made money, after the closing. So the reason that I usually suggest transaction coordinators is because they're typically paid when the sale closes, and it's usually a flat fee. So it's a fixed cost of sale, which is even better, because now you can figure that out a lot easier. But yes, Tammy, that is the question. That is that would be the first step that I would push people towards is let's find a transaction coordinator. You can pay per closing to just help take off some of this weight off of your shoulders, so you can just keep running. Because what happens is we get bogged down in the in the details of it all, right? So back to my board here, and I'm sure you guys have seen this before, but if that's the cycle that our clients are on, and what we want, the goal here is to grab our clients right here. That's it. If this is the closing, right? These are closings. What we want to do is we want to enter in the cycle right here. If we could figure out how to get in this spot every time, we'd all be multimillionaires, right? The problem is the money isn't made here. The money is made at all of these points here leading up to there, right? So here's
I
what,
think Trevor shared this at the last stakeholder meeting.
yep,
Is
so
that right?
union, there was his name's Jason Abrams. He's the president of industry for Keller Williams. This is his kind of thing. But what I want you to think about is if this is where we need to be, and this is where we make our money, this is the part that we are leveraging out on that end. This is all of the touches after the closing and before their next one. That's what we need to leverage out through technology, systems, and models, and possibly people, right? Same thing with what we're talking about here. Your cycle of lead gen to closings, it's not different than this. We start here with no business, and we're lead genning, and every point up here, we're making contacts with leads, right? And things are good. Now we're working with all these people, and then we get them to closing. But during this time of gathering them, finding them, we stop going out and finding them. We're too caught up in all of the details of each transaction, and we want each client to feel like they are our only client. And you should do that. That's how you're going to make sure they come back to you. But while that's happening, you're not lead genning. So what happens is you get to this point and your clients start dropping off and you come down into this valley. And then you're like, and during this time, you're getting closings. So the money comes in, but then you find yourself down here saying, gosh, I don't have any clients anymore. So you get back to the lead gen and you get up here and then you come back down because you don't have any clients. Instead of, and this is what having like a transaction coordinator would help with, and understanding, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed, which by the way, overwhelm is just a feeling. It's not real. So, but you have to listen to yourself. You feel that, you say, you know what, I'm going to look into a transaction coordinator. Transaction coordinators on average are about $300 per transaction. Okay. So let's go back to our math. 6,000 divided by 50. I don't remember what it was.
120.
Thank you. Same thing if I hire a transaction coordinator, 6,000 minus 300 is 5,700. 5,700. Now let's just say they take a total of 10 hours off. 15. I think I asked Megan, she worked on each file, they put about 15 to 20 hours. So we'll say 15. So if it's 50 minus 15 is 35. What's 5,700 divided by 35?
162.
62. So anyone on this call right now, legit. If you hired a transaction coordinator and they took those 15 hours off, and we're talking 15 hours, like they're sending the documents from one person to another. They're following up with title, with lenders, inspection things, whatever it is. They're just keeping the things going so you don't have to worry about it. You went from making $120 an hour to $162 an hour. Any one of you can hire that in. And here's the other thing, unless you are awesome and love doing the paperwork, you shouldn't do that. I think you should understand how to do it and then leverage that off so you can focus on what's important. My own thoughts. I'm not saying hire before you have the money to do it, but having a transaction coordinator, remember, the other thing in Millionaire Real Estate Agent is we lead with revenue, meaning we don't spend the money until we make it. A lot of agents out there are just dishing money out left and right. But if you you earn the money and then you spend it, the cost of sale allows you to earn it before you spend it. An expense does not. So if you were like, I really want to hire a marketing person and I'm going to pay them whatever per hour. Nope. That is it. That is an expense. It's not a cost of sale. It's not leading with revenue. You're spending the money before you make it. So yes, Tammy, the way that Matt is doing it is on model. It makes sense. He has the revenue to spend on the marketing person, and then he's got premium services for the cost of sale. So his expenses and everything are within model, and it makes sense to do that. And like I said, using cost of sale, any one of you can have a transaction coordinator because they're paid at closing, which allows you to get out of the weeds with, did I send that document? Did I get that signature? Oh man, did I collect that EMD? That is not how our brains typically work at a high level real estate agent. If you do personality tests, that is not in our wheelhouse. I'm horrible at that stuff. I should have brought my admin on just so she could tell you how bad I am with it. But she's amazing.
Did
Yeah,
you,
I was
how did you
thinking-
find her? Like, as far as like, you said you had tried a few before you found the right one.
I got lucky with her because she actually came to me. She had worked for another Keller Williams agent at a different office. They had a pretty big falling out. She knew of me. She called and said, I don't know where you're at in your business, but I'm looking for a job. And we talked and I was like, strangely, I'm actually looking for someone. So she stepped in, but our first year together, she's like, Rob, let me do more. Let me do more. And I wasn't. And in fact, she was at an admin mastermind here at the office. And I walked into training. It was on the first floor. I walked in the training room and I was just standing in the back, just listening. And they were all going around the room saying who they worked for and like what their like main tasks were. And Christina said, oh, I'm Christina. I work for Rob. And she didn't know I was back. I was standing there. And she said, and I do whatever he allows me, but he just won't let go of a lot of stuff. And they all laughed because that's a typical characteristic of a real estate agent. And it was at that moment where I was like, wow, I'm screwing this up. And the other thing is when you have someone you've hired to do a job and then you don't allow them to do that, what kind of message does it send them? So here I am like, I need you to do this. And then I'm just doing it. Right. It's like, I need you to, in simple things, you guys, like mark this home pending in the MLS. Now, how long does it take to go in and do that? 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes at the most. Right. But it's one more thing on my list to do. Instead, I send a text and just say, mark Main Street pending. And she just does it. It's those little things add up. Those little 5-minute tasks add up. I wasn't letting it go. Now I've let it go. She does everything. And now she's at the top of the structure, right? Because I can't do it. Andrea wants to know how to career visioning. So Andrea, you can go on to kwconnect.com. And if you if you search in there career visioning, it'll pop up with the classes that'll become available. And they're all virtual right now, obviously, with the pandemic, but you can take it. I mean, they have them all over the country. Different regions will sponsor it. When our region does sponsor it, you'll hear about it because I'll talk about it, 15, 20 times trying to get people to go. Great class, by the way. Amazing class. One of my favorite. And career visioning it's a series. So there's 2 or 3 classes that go with it, but it's really, really good. Mohammed, did you have a question?
Yes, I have 2 questions. First of all, that first point that you said where we should be at back on your chart and back there, what is that point? One that's circled.
This side?
No, right there to the left. No, lower, right there.
Okay, so what I was doing there is I was saying that this is the cycle of a client.
Yeah, good transaction overall.
The top of it is where they transact and close. This point here, I was just making is where that's where we would want to find those clients, because this is, we'll just say that this is
Everything leads to that point. Okay, I see it.
3 months before transaction. So if we could find all our clients at that point, that'd be ideal.
Okay.
What was your
But
other-
yeah, you know what? I have a comment. I'm
Yeah.
part-time. I actually don't even have time to do this. I already got a full-time job that's taking, 10 hours a day easily.
Yeah.
So from morning till evening, I'm doing that. I haven't attended a meeting in probably a good 6 months.
Yep.
And you already know that. So, and this is what I looked into one time at the title company there. I asked them, hey, what can you do? Even 1 or 2 sales. I got 4 or 5 homes that I own, I want to get rid of. And I don't even know how to sell them because I don't have time to do it. And that's a sad situation. Me as a realtor, I can't sell my own home. I got them looking for somebody else to help me sell it.
Yeah.
So that kind of service is ideal. Per transaction or somebody that does it, that's really good.
Here's the thing for you, Mohammed. Let's just say that house is $100,000.
Okay.
And commission on that's $3,000. Right?
Yep.
All right. What's 25% of $3,000?
750, I think.
What was it?
I think 750.
1750?
No, 750 probably.
750?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. 750.
Okay. Here's the so here's what I'm getting at on this is you, Mohammed, could refer that to an agent who is full-time, who's going to put the time in and know what they're doing. You're going to collect $750 for about 30 minutes of total work, probably. And that's
Okay.
on the high side, because what you're going to say is, hey, can you just do this? Here's the contact info. Or if you're the seller, hey, I'm the seller. And you're going to say, give me $750 commission on that. So 700, you're making let's just say 1 hour for the sake of argument. You're making $750 an hour by placing a referral. Placing a referral is the #1 highest dollar producing activity an agent can do. There are literally companies who only place referrals because they understand that. And agents spend thousands of dollars a month on this. It's insane to me. But for you, Mohammed, I got a full-time job. I don't even know how to sell a house. I haven't been to a meeting, but you're sitting in the best position possible if you've got business coming in, or you can give business away, because you can make a lot more money per hour than by doing it yourself and trying to figure it all out. Let an agent do the work. Right? They're going to make what's 3,000 times minus 750?
2250.
What?
2250.
2250.
2250. We just went over it, right? What would we say? Listing. If it's a listing, 20.
20 hours.
What do we say? 20 hours.
20 hours.
What's
Yep.
50 divided by 20?
500. No, 450. 450.
2250 divided by 20 is 112.50.
I came up with 112.
112.
Yeah, 112.50.
It's how much is it?
112.
Sorry. I was doing something. I was dividing it by 2.
112.
Okay. So the agent you just gave this referral to made $112 and you made $750 per hour.
Yep.
Crazy, right?
Yep.
It's crazy. But here's the thing. Here's the craziest part. We have agents who will get their license to sell their own home. And I'm like, it always boggles my mind. And I'm like, listen, it's different if you're going to get in full time and do all this, but to get in and do it once or twice, it's not worth it for you to do it. Refer it out. Make this money. Leverage, right? This is leverage. This is doing it yourself. The agent who's doing the work is going to make less than the person referring it. Now, for the agent doing the work, this is what they want because it's quantity.
Yes.
Well, it makes sense for that person and it makes sense for you as the referring agent. This is the ideal situation, but the numbers speak for themselves if you're following the math, right? But yeah,
But you know what? I still need to learn the process of selling. I've bought plenty of homes, but just haven't sold them. So maybe I need to do a couple anyways, regardless of what the money part is.
yeah. Well, I mean that's fair too. What I'm saying is, if you only have limited time, where are you spending that time? Where's it? You got to ask yourself this, right? At the stage of my life, I'm not trying to be wasting time. Like my
Correct.
time as it is. So when I have free time, I want to be with like my kids, right? Or my wife, or relaxing. So it just depends. It just depends. And there's no judgment on your decisions. But if you've got the homes, make the big money here.
Yeah.
And pour it out so you can focus on what's important to you. Right. So
Okay.
other questions,
How about, how would be the process of co-listing it? Does that make a difference?
Well, yeah, if you co-list it. Now, see, co-listing is a little hairy. I don't like co-listing anything because there's expenses that come across with listing a property. It's different than like buyers where you could just split it and say, you show them half the homes, I'll show them half the homes, and we'll split the commission. When you're co-listing, I think things get too whacked out. But yes, co-listing, you would almost split the commission, but you've also should be splitting all the costs. And the problem you get into with that is I like to do it this way, you like to do it this way, and now we're having arguments. I had a seller that said to me, hey, Rob, we really want to hire you, but we also have a friend in the business. We think you guys would do really well co-listing this together. And I said, you know what? I'm not even interested in that. I don't want to get involved in that. I don't need to go down that path. So in that case, though, Mohammed, if it's your own home, what you could do is say, hey, listen, I'd like to learn more about the process. Would you split the commission with me? I'll let you list it and you just keep me posted and let's work together on it, but we'll split it. And I think that would be a fair thing to do.
Or especially a property that's farther away. I mean, I'm not able to show something that's 2 hours away. So let them do it.
Anything outside of the area, you should refer that out for sure.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
This
Okay.
was great. Thank you, Rob.
Yes, thank you, Rob.
I didn't know what I was getting in for, but I learned a lot today.
Good. I'm glad. And it's kind of like that intro to leverage, but don't be afraid of it. Introduce it when you want to, when you need to. And if you guys have questions around any of that, obviously just, call, text, email me, let me know, and we'll get together and talk about your personal situation.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you
Have a
very
good
much, Rob.
afternoon, everyone.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Thank you.